Welcome to my podcast. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be able to share this journey with you inside a podcast. I cannot tell you how long this has been on my wish list to start. Girls, it has been years, and so I'm just really excited to be able to share with you in this way. What you can expect coming forwards is just a real intimate, a real cozy, sometimes spicy, but this is going to be the girls' chat. Like, we are going to get right into business, strategy, sales, but also some behind the scenes of my life. And so this is what this episode is going to be. So if you're new around here or you followed me for a while, we're about to go down a journey of my chapters that brought me to where I am now. My journey from quitting my job in corporate London to traveling the world on a backpacker budget to getting home right before the pandemic and starting a business on my mum's dining room table with not a penny to my name to now being in Bali and building a six-figure business. And so I'm just so excited to share all of these tidbits, learnings, and just the full colour of the journey. So let us dive right in. If you're new around here, I'd absolutely love if you could hit the follow button, share this to your social media. It's a brand new podcast, and so I would absolutely love your support in this journey. Okay, let us dive right in. So I refer to my journey rather than in years. I talk about chapters quite a lot. So I'd say my first chapter was being in corporate, and this was 2018. And I was in sales. I'd got a good sales career, got a good salary. I could see all the routes ahead of me in terms of like career progression, salary increases, promotions, all the rest of it. But I remember just feeling like quite unfulfilled by all of that, like just going through the motions every day. And I loved the actual day-to-day job. I'd got some awesome friends there. Like, I worked with my besties. I loved the lifestyle that my salary allowed me to live. I was loving London, but it all just was a bit same. It was quite unfulfilling. Once you've done a few years in London and you're past the energetic buzz, like the burst, it starts to get a little bit like, once the dust has settled and you're just constantly rushing, you start to get a little bit like, is this all there is? When you can see all of the routes of the ladder ahead of you, and whilst every new ladder option has a new salary increase, new level of importance within the company, new responsibility, it also comes with a lot more work and a lot more stress. So it didn't really seem like a reward. And I was like, is this a con? Are we supposed to want this? Because I don't want to have to work harder in order to get paid more. And keep doing that until I die. Because that's what it seemed like. I was like, do people just carry on going for the next thing and then the next thing and get, for every little tidbit of reward or gratification, it comes with the expectation of either doing more, being more, like you just have to keep on going and that's what you're expected to want. I was like, is this all there is to life? And at this point I was about 27, 28, and I was like, I'm not feeling it, I'll be honest. Like, that route doesn't look appealing to me. And I hadn't really seen much of the world at that point. And so I didn't really know any other route. Corporate was all I knew at that point. So I was just like, I'm going to go travel. I'm going to go see the world, because if this is the route that I've got to take, and I know that taking corporate gaps, salary gaps, is going to work against me on my CV, then I might as well get it out of the way now, just go live my life, and then if I have to submit to the rat race until I die, then so be it. But at least I'll have lived once in my 20s where it won't affect me that much. So quit my job. I'd already saved up. I'd been saving for like a year and a half, so I'd got a good amount of cash that would sustain me for a long while. Me and my bestie, we went all around South America for 6 months. Then I went on to Australia. I did about 8 months there. And then I came back 3 months, hopping my way back to the UK through Asia. So it ended up being about a 16-month trip that I was away for. And it was absolutely incredible. This is what showed me a different way in life, because I'd been around about 2 months before I was like, I don't want to ever go back to corporate. Like, I'm absolutely living my best life. I'm going on adventures every day. I'm inspired every day. I'm meeting new people. I'm seeing new things. Like, I'm out living. This is what life is about. Like, it's about being inspired, learning, understanding different cultures, seeing this incredible world. I don't want to have to go back to just picking up a phone every day just to call people. Because at that point, that's what sales was to me. It was being in one place. And so when we were traveling, I was already starting to think, like, how can to me, in the role that I'd known, salary meant being in one place. And so I was already starting to think bigger. I was like, if I don't want to stay in one place, I need to learn how to generate income that can be built online rather than me having to be anywhere. But I had no idea what that looked like. So the cogs were turning, but we didn't really know where. But at least the thought had been planted. So I'd enjoyed my backpacker stint, seen lots of places, all the while very much keeping on a budget so that I could extend my trip in the longest way. And then we got back to the UK. And by this time, I was now starting to listen to podcasts. I was downloading courses. I was taking free masterclasses in the works of how to set up an online business. And so thankfully got back to the UK just before the pandemic landed. And so I was back at mum's house because there was no way I was back affording London rent. Like, I did not come back from backpacking with a penny to my name. Why would you? And so I'm at mum's house. I'm at a dining room table with my laptop. I managed to get my old job back on a temporary contract for a little bit, which was awesome because it gave me a few months of income whilst I was at mum's. And thankfully, when the pandemic hit, it meant that I'd got a little bit of salary, but that job ultimately came to an end because it was on a contract. And so now the whole world is freaking out. Whilst I've already done enough learning, enough Skillshare, YouTube, podcast episodes, like, I'm well on my journey to how this thing starts. But the plot twist here was that I'd taken a course which helped you to set up an online business. But at this time, like, nobody was working from home. Like, the proper pandemic hadn't hit yet. It was coming on board, but freelancing, working from home, digital nomad, like, it wasn't a big thing. I didn't know anybody that was doing it. And so there was no one to ask. So all I'd got was the learnings of what I'd found online and this one course that I'd taken. Now, this course helps you to either become a VA and social media manager or become a brand designer. And so those are the only two routes that I saw in front of me. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't really feel aligned to either of them. But if I'm going to choose one, I'll go with brand design because I think that I'm more creative. So if we've got to go A or B, let's just go B and we'll just get started. So I basically retrained a whole new skill, spent that summer like learning YouTube, Skillshare, literally just learning all of the design software to teach myself how to be a designer. So then I actually, what instigated the you don't have more time, you just need to move. I'm just realising this now. I actually lost my granddad. Don't worry, I'm not going to go down like a big morbid journey. But we lost him, not because of COVID, but he was in the hospital, caught sepsis, passed very quickly, unexpectedly. And because that was someone I was very close to, and at that point, you couldn't go into the hospitals to even hug people, like no visitors were allowed. And so losing someone in that way and so quickly, I'd been stalling on starting the business because I'd been nervous. I was like, I'm not ready. I need to learn more. Like, I'm just not equipped to do this. And then when he passed, I was like, Sarah, there is no more time. Like, you don't have time. You literally don't know how much time you've got. And so I decided, I put a note on my personal Facebook on the Sunday night being like, guys, I'm starting a business tomorrow. Here is my business Instagram page. We're going live on Monday. Please come and follow me and support my journey. And that was it. I started on the Monday, first post, ready to go, gone. And so we were moving. And so the next chapter then was that first 6 months of starting a brand design business. Quite random. Even my friends were like, you're starting a business doing what? But you're not a designer. And I was like, guys, I'm going. And so that first 6 months, starting a business in a pandemic, being full-time from day one because Even though I'd got no income at that point, I'd got that little pot of savings from having my contract job just for a few months. So I'd got a little bit to sustain me for a while. And the idea of going to get a sales manager job for another company and having to learn a whole new process, whole new company, whole new team was like, no, hell no. So I was just like, right, we're going all in from day one and we're going to make this work. We are only going back to corporate if we absolutely have to buy us some more time whilst we figure this thing out. But let's figure it out first. So I was full-time from day one, just surviving on this little pot of savings that was rapidly running out. Pandemic was just peak. There was just chaos everywhere. And so I just stayed in my little bubble, my mom's dining room table, building for that 6 months. And that looked like just posting on Instagram, getting really visible on stories, creating a lot of video content, because I already had a little look about what other designers were doing, and I could see that they weren't creating a lot of video content. They weren't showing up. There wasn't a lot of visibility from the person behind the brand. So straight away, I was like, okay, well, my skill set in this area isn't very good. So I'm just going to get really visible and build trust through video. And hopefully my skill set will catch up in the background. This was a really good tactic because most people are really good at their skill, but not good at marketing it. Mine was the opposite. I wasn't very good at the skill, but I was really good at marketing it, and I was hoping that the skill would catch up. Whilst that helped me in the beginning, I would recommend being really good at your skill. It definitely helps from a confidence perspective, rather than just trying to do the fake it till you make it. Like, get really good at what you do. It helps. So that first 6 months that was struggle season, let me tell you. I was landing clients. Like the sales part was not hard for me at all. I was reaching out to my network. I was building my profile. People that I'd lost touch with ages ago were coming back to find me, to ask for work. So I was getting clients, and really good clients as well. They weren't just like odd bobs or anything. I've done the branding for a UK-wide pole dance competition. I've done the branding for a UK country and western clothing brand. I was getting really cool female-owned businesses. But the business that I was building did not fulfill me. It honestly felt like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Like it just wasn't aligning. And I just thought that was like the beginner's experience. I was like, yeah, well, everyone says that business is going to be hard, so this is just the way it is. Like, I guess it just feels this hard all of the time. But when my skill gets better, it will get easier, right? Wrong. I was getting 5, then 6 months in, and I was like, this is not getting any easier. Like, it doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't feel natural. I'm not happy. And even like my family, friends were just like, maybe it's just you just starting out. Like, maybe it'll eventually click. And I was like, it's not clicking. And part of me was like, maybe I need to learn like another skill, like website design, and just add a whole nother extra chapter onto the business. My goodness, thank God I didn't go down learning an entirely new skill. I had just picked up on the business that I was building didn't work for me. So you've really got to notice, is it the way that you're working? Is it what you're offering? Like, you've really got to be attuned to how something feels in your body. I was noticing that the way that I was working wasn't filling my cup. There wasn't enough customer interaction. There wasn't enough, like, I'm an extrovert. I meet people. I love like speaking to people, getting on calls with people, chatting with people. That fills my cup. So doing long hours, not speaking to anyone, and the design process is that you speak to your customer like right at the beginning, right at the end, maybe once in the middle. And the rest is a lot of just messages like emails or text back and forth. And I was like, I need more than this. It's not working for me. So that first 6 months of absolute struggle, I was already feeling quite unaligned and noticing, I was like, I know business is meant to be hard, but it's not meant to be this hard. At a time, so there was that bit going on, whilst also I was building a community which had a lot of other female designers in, those who are making friends with, chatting about their businesses with. And so we're speaking in DMs, and there was a couple of ladies who, like, genuinely out of friendship, they'd come to me with either frustrations that they had around their business that I knew how to solve. And so I was giving them some free advice in DMs. And I had two ladies say to me, Sarah, your free help has already generated money for my business. Like, you have absolutely changed. Just give me free voice notes. And it wasn't until someone said, Sarah, if you ever decide to go into teaching this, I will be your first customer. I will pay you to teach me what you know. And that was the biggest light bulb moment for me, because it just felt like, oh, well, yeah, I can teach this. This is my sales background, no problem. And so then comes the pivot, because whilst I'd been thinking about, I could start like this coaching and mentoring service on the side, I knew straight away that was my calling, and that I needed to stop the design side and just be all in on the new side, because I knew that my clients, if I still carried on taking design clients, they weren't going to get a good experience from me. And so I just needed to be all in from day one. So this is where the pivot comes in. I changed my branding, changed my name, like re-registered the business, new services, new target audience, new offers. I took a couple of weeks just to figure everything out and then go for it. I posted a load of new content, archived all the old stuff, and straight away was doing lives, getting super visible, doing a lot of market research and just bringing people in on my journey. And I just went from 0 to 100 like that. So this is the chapter that I call the pivot and sprint, because once I was doing what I was always meant to be doing, girl, how quick we moved. I was getting clients straight away, booking power hours, 6 weeks coaching, some 12-week coaching. My clients were getting like between 2 and 5 times the results that they were paying. One girl got a 10 times return on investment from a power hour. And it was just like the social proof was absolutely flying. People were sharing me on all of their platforms. It honestly changed overnight, or seemingly overnight. And so that's what I call my fly high season, is that I was able to get booked out with one-to-one clients very quickly. From there, I learned what was needed, what was being asked a lot, what I found myself teaching quite a lot. So I packaged that into a group program. I launched a small group program and then a longer group program very quickly. So from the point of the pivot, I launched a group program in about less than 3 months. I'd got my second long-term group program, which came about sort of 4 to 5 months. I launched the smaller one a second and third time that same year, and the bigger one a second time that year. So my income from taking 0 in that pivot time, in the few weeks that I took to sort myself out and just literally rebuild from 0, we went from 0 to, in that next 6 months, it went like 1.5K, 2.5K, 3, 4.5, literally just absolutely rocketed up to some 8 and 9K pounds months in about 6 months. It just flew. I was serving at scale. I'd got multiple programs. It was like It was such an exhilarating time. I was investing a lot. I was in new programs, doing mini minds, launching programs. I was doing all of the things. But then winter came. English winter. English winter cost me quite a lot. This was like the harshest learning lesson for me. Winter hit and we're still in lockdown. This is the winter of 21, I'm going to say. And so I'd felt the winter of 2020, but my business was still so new that being unmotivated or finding everything hard, I was expecting that anyway. But when the winter of 21 came and everything had been absolutely flying, then the noticeable shift was so much more noticeable, because I'd seen the success that I'd been able to have when summer was there, the longer days, and I was energized. When the winter came and it gets dark at 4 o'clock, my motivation just sailed out the window. My energy, my soul, I just felt like I was only half of me. And that's really hard to sustain when you're the only one in the business and your business relies on you, your energy, your personality. If you're not that person, or you're only that person part of the time, which I was, I'm like, I get sad syndrome. Like, it hits me like a truck. And so I was trying. I'd got the LED lamp. I was trying all the things, but I was still like, just to ease off everything. I'd be reaching for the wine glass at like 4 o'clock. As soon as the sun started going down, I'd be like, right, wine time, just to make life feel a little bit easier. So that long, dark winter was a combination of my energy leaving, and so my sales were dipping because I wasn't being who I needed to be. Whilst also, I'd invested way over my head. We can talk about that now. I'd invested way over my head. So at the time when I'd invested at the highest level thing, at the point when my income was the highest, but then my income started to drop because my energy dropped. So now all of a sudden I was committed to a high level investment at a time when my sales were going the opposite way. And so, good God, that was a long winter, which ultimately brought on the dark night of the soul about 7 months later. What it meant is that after a sustained period of stressing about whether I could pay this thing off, and every month just needed to be, I just need to get that paid before I can breathe, and the anxiety that brought on, it meant that I was never like in my enjoyment. I was never in my best element because I was just trying to get that thing paid off on a month to month. So I was constantly in my fight or flight. Once I'd got that paid off and I could breathe a little bit, and summer was coming, so I was like, it's good, that's paid off. That was a learning lesson. And it wasn't just the fact that I'd overcommitted at a time when my income dropped. I also didn't get what I was promised from that. So there were multiple reasons why I still feel a little bit about that investment. But we learned a lot from it. Anyway, I was expecting, once that was paid off and summer was coming back around, I was like, okay, Sarah's coming back. The sun's going to come back. My energy's going to come back. The sun came back, the lighter nights came back, and my energy didn't. And I was like, okay, well, now we have a problem, because now it's not sad syndrome. Now it's an actual problem. So now what are we going to do? And this is where what I call the dark night of the soul happened, is that I realized that I'd been staying in these like really unhealthy habits for such a long time that I'd become a really like solemn version of me. And so what ultimately ended up happened is that I just crashed really unexpectedly. I was literally at a shopping centre. And at this point, I think I was trying to go to co-working spaces to like lift myself out of this like slump. But I could just feel that I was like, God, I feel unfulfilled, like something isn't clicking. I just wasn't being, basically what had happened is that I hadn't taken any positive action in the business, and I'd become so sick of my own plateau that I basically crashed like the Titanic. Essentially, I'd been sailing into a dark sea for too long and we crashed. We crashed in a river island, looking at clothes and I remember thinking like, oh, I love those clothes, but I'm not going to get them yet. I'll wait until I'm making more money. And just that thought, I felt the waterline in my eyes go up, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to break down in a river island in a shopping centre. Get out, get the F out, get to the car, because we're about to explode. And this is why I'm going to talk more in another episode about like who I was versus who I became. But it was that thought of, I want that, but I'm not going to get it until I've made more money or until I'm like doing X in the business. And keeping that goal out of reach was just the catalyst. I knew that I was about one straw away from a breakdown, and that was the straw on that day. And so, yeah, I also got back, and my puppy at that time had, on this same day, chewed my boots that I travelled around the world with. Like, if he could have chewed up the passport, and it probably would have meant less than those boots did at that time. They were my symbol of freedom. And so feeling so out of touch with my goals, and then seeing my symbol of freedom chewed up and sprinkled across the kitchen floor was it. I lost it. And I just lay in the garden sobbing for about 3 hours looking at the sky. It was a moment. But what happened as a result from there is that this is where fuck it season really started. Because we had to move differently. We had to make new decisions. Once I'd been able to pick myself up off that garden seat, I was like, okay, we can't continue moving in the way that we've been moving, so we're going to move differently. It was all around action. I'd got no thoughts or space left for overthinking, doubt, or second guessing. It was go, go, go. Move, treat yourself better, see your friends, do to yourself what you would recommend for others. And so that looked like buying new clothes, selling my stuff because I was preparing. I was like, right, Bali's happening. Booking the flight, chopping my hair off to have a whole new look, getting back in the gym and already starting a weight loss journey. Just feeling so much better about myself because I was taking action. And then Bali came about a few months after that, once I'd done all of the prep, got myself ready, felt all of the nerves because I didn't know what this new adventure was going to bring. But honestly, I did not have any cares left for what plan B looked like. I knew I needed to be all in. And when I got off the plane in Bali, I have this one-way flight, having never even traveled with the business before. The plane doors opened and I felt that warm air wash over me and all the smells, like the gorgeous smells of Bali, like the incense and the flowers. And I instantly knew I'd made the right decision. Instantly. I can still picture being on that plane and being like, oh my God, I feel like I've come home. And so the whole new chapter that evolved from being in Bali is what I call my endless summer, because this is where the business started really building. I'd been building in terms of my brand, my reputation, my content. So I'd already got a solid base, but it wasn't until I got here and I worked on me and who I was being and living my best life and just being in alignment with the person that I am, doing what I love, filling my cup first, and being able to just tap into my best energy, that then the business started really growing because I was growing. People were messaging me like, oh my God, Sarah, the change in you, you're glowing. Even if I was no makeup on, wet hair, just looking like a hot mess. But people were like, you're visibly different. Your energy is so much different. And so this then is what enabled me to scale so quickly, is that I wasn't trying to sell to anyone. I was like, guys, this is what I'm doing. I'm living my best life. And people were just gravitating towards me. And so launching new programs, new offers, I invested in myself in a long-term mentorship so that I'd got a base online and a group of women who could be my home. I didn't want to be coach hopping anymore. I wanted to have my place where I could plug in and like my nervous system feel settled. Because after a whole long dark winter of my nervous system just being through the roof because of that investment and worrying whether my personality was going to come back, this new place, I wanted to feel like a home, a peaceful home, my space, my inspiration, my support, like my stable base where I could grow the business from. And so this then was what I let, between being my best self and investing long term and just finding this stable base for me, I was able to move very quickly from there. And this looked like planning to launch an event in the UK whilst I was still in Bali. Doing all the logistics for the event, including travel, catering, like organising tickets, telling for communication with both the venue, my clients, selling all the tickets whilst I was in Thailand, flying around and getting speedboats between different islands whilst checking in with clients, washing elephants on a Friday, watching beautiful sunsets while negotiating with the venue about what was going in the bags or what the chair layout was going to be, and just living this most extraordinary, incredible life. And so then we went back to the UK, we did a whole load of like in-person events, this live event, which was absolutely incredible. And then coming back to Bali, getting my long-term visa and actually being able to call this place home now. I've never been in a better position and I'm so excited to be able to bring you on this journey. And so what can you expect from me? What can you expect from this podcast going forwards? I'm building a community of women, my sold out sister community, which to me looks like women being able to know that they can sell, sign clients, earn money, and just live a financially free, physically free, emotionally free, sexually free, just the most empowered life on their own terms, complete independence, so that they can go wherever they want, be wherever they want, and know that they've got their own back at all times, as well as the community has got their back too. This is what the Sold Out Sister community looks like to me, and this is what I'm building. And so if you're listening to this and you're like, where can I come join the community? Hit the follow button here. I'll drop a link to our Facebook group where you can come join the community for free. Or we've got our membership Sold Out Society where you can come join the community Slack channel, meet some of the other Sold Out sisters who are inside the membership. But in the meantime, guys, I've absolutely loved sharing my journey with you. If this has resonated with you, drop me a message on Insta, send me a DM. I'd love to hear which bit hit for you. But in the meantime, love it if you could hit the follow button, share this to your social media. I'm sending you the biggest love and I can't wait to share more with you inside another episode. I'll see you soon.